Hi, I'm Craig.
And I'm Gina.
We are the founders of Blended Together Forever.
We started this podcast to give hope and encouragement to blended families. We want to just take a little time to share some of our stories with you.
Hi, everyone. Craig and Gina Morgan with Blended Together Forever, and we're back for another podcast with our good friends James and Monica Shaw. These guys have been friends of ours for many years. We actually met years ago through one community church. And if I refer to the gentleman as Preacher James, it's because he's a preacher. He does great. You got to go hear him one of these days. But these guys have been great friends of ours, great ambassadors for Blended Together. They actually spoke at Life Point Church on our behalf just a couple of weeks ago. So we wanted them to tell their personal story to us and to you tonight, as well as maybe some challenges that have been along the way. And we're looking forward to having them. So thank you guys for joining us. Guys, why don't you just start by telling us your personal story? We know there's a journey before there's a blend. And I think just so these guys and gals get to know your story, it'd be great to start right there.
Sure. Well, I'll start talking here for us. Monica and I go back a little bit. We've been married for 7.5 years, and before that, we dated too. Before we got married, and we met untraditionally through work, with me traveling and being just in the right place at the right time for us is how we met in person, and then from there. She lived in Chicago with me living here in Texas.
Wow.
We just had conversations over the phone. And those conversations
emails and text messages
led from email to text to me getting frequent flyer miles.
Wow.
Making trips back and forth to Chicago. We did that for about 2 years. And for Monica and I, the first year that we dated, because we had the opportunity to spend a lot of time on the phone,
Right.
We got a good chance to know each other and understand each other from a personal level because we had to talk.
Right.
And so by doing that, I think that we built this attraction, fell in love over the telephone.
Wow.
And then we started seeing each other after that, making trips starting like every 6 months, and then it went down to 2 months, and then every other week. One of us was on the plane going either from Chicago to Texas or Texas to Chicago.
Goodness.
And so from that, I think we built a great friendship.
That's great.
Being blended, we had an opportunity for the first 4 years that we knew each other. It was just us. Kids wasn't involved. Mm-hmm. So because we had that long distance relationship, we really didn't have to involve our kids. We got a chance to get to know each other without kids to make sure that, hey, before we moved forward and introduced our kids to each other, that we knew that we were solid and wanted to take it somewhere. So our first year of dating, we had no children interaction whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And then we finally decided that this is something that we think is going to go forward. So we planned a family trip together where all our kids met on like a 4th of July celebration. We all went up to Chicago and had the kids meet at that time. And so what would you like to add there?
No, that's perfect. That is how it all started, yes.
Wow. So it started long distance.
Yes.
Yes.
So the odds of a relationship starting long distance are kind of against you to begin with. But I was really intrigued when you said y'all just really kept the kids out of it, which is great advice because so many people kind of jump in or rush in and then meet her kids, his kids. And so you deliberately kept them at bay, so to speak, and you were wise. And that's powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was there any reason, or was that just the way you did it?
I mean, we were both very protective of our children, both a little scared and nervous to have them go through a loss again, and to have them have that same feeling that they had when we got divorced. So I think that was probably the biggest reason why we did that. But it worked out for us, like you said, since we were long distance. We were able to schedule it that way.
Right. Okay, good. So in y'all's situation, you had both experienced a divorce.
Yes.
You both had children. How many kiddos and what were their ages? Give us some background before you guys met, Monica.
So I had 2, and my son was 3 when we met, and my daughter was about to turn 6
Okay.
when we met.
Yes, and I had a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Okay.
Boys. Yeah, 2 boys. So, and she had a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
So young children when we met,
Right.
and so I think for us, everybody is different.
Sure.
But with the younger kids, it gave us an opportunity for these guys to kind of grow together over the years, and we think that it helped us in that situation, having the younger children, and they were able to adapt to change. We were very protective, as Monica said, and we didn't want them to experience hurt again.
Right.
Going through a divorce is painful.
Right.
Going through that, and it's painful on the kids
Right.
as well. And so we were very protective. And so because we had the ability to have that long distance relationship, we believe it helped us out down the line as we brought the kids together for the first time in an environment where they can have fun, just meet each other, no pressure. And then about 6 months later, Monica brought her kids to Texas, and then we did it again in Texas. And so that's kind of the way we introduce the kids to each other in that fashion. And we think that that really helped us out as we decided that, we were in love. And we always knew that the kids really didn't have a choice in the
Right.
situation. And so we wanted to make sure that we're making this decision for them, and we wanted to make sure that we were strong so that they could see a lasting relationship. Because the last thing we wanted to be was to be indifferent in front of them again
Right.
and go through that same trial that we had before.
Sure. So let's fast forward just a little bit. And so you decide then, after dating 2 years, that you're going to do this permanent. So tell us, fast forward, how that worked with the kids and how they adjusted and the expectations that maybe you had versus what actually happens.
We had some expectations.
Yeah.
Everyone's got high hopes, right?
Yeah.
Actually, the kids were excited. I think the kids were more excited for the wedding and the limo than the actual marriage, right? And getting to dress up and all that good stuff. It was emotional for us. The kids really just took it. We were so blessed that our children just were excited about the whole thing. And then from there, we were married in March, and then we went back to our own homes. So we still weren't living together until the end of June, when my oldest daughter was done with school. Right.
Okay.
So we were married for a few months because we decided to do it during spring break. So we happened to have all of them for spring break. So so we were married for a few months before we actually moved down here to Texas.
Logistics, blended family logistics. So we had to make sure we was doing that time where we had all the kids.
Yeah.
Right.
So that
Planning.
we really didn't have to plan with the opposite parent at that point in time. So no disruption from that piece. So that's just one of the things you run into with blended family and the scheduling piece.
Yeah.
And we got married at spring break, the kids' spring break, the year that we both had the kids for spring break. And we got married during that time. And then Monica and her 2 children moved to Texas in June of 2012.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of people almost get caged in a box where they think, oh, we're supposed to do it just like these guys did it, or just like those guys did it. And it's not a one size fits all at all. In other words, there's not like a cookie cutter, oh, this is how you build a blended family, and then, oh, we just do it that way. No, it's just there's so many moving parts, and bringing that up is a great example of being flexible and seeing a bigger picture. And, not everybody's going to do it the way you did it, but it works, and that's great. In fact, y'all, especially as ladies and moms, the complexity of a schedule, we had a lot of kids. They had a lot of kids.
Right.
Now, scheduling, y'all talk about that for a second. I think that would be great for ladies about how do you navigate all this stuff that y'all have had to really,
Right.
So.
Well, we're out of that right now.
Right.
Thank goodness. Y'all are in the throes of it right now with high school kids and middle school kids. And then bring us forward a little bit, after the marriage and after you did move down here, because there's more kids, not just the
Yes.
4. So let's go
Right.
there and then talk to us about the
Great
complexity of the schedules and how you guys seem to make that all
Great
work
point.
so smoothly.
Then we decided we went ahead and had 2 more children between the 2 of us. So it's definitely a his, mine, and ours situation. So we have 6 altogether now, and currently we range from the oldest is 17 and the youngest is 2. Okay. So that's a huge age span between the 2. So we do have high schoolers, we have a senior, we have one that's still in diapers. So scheduling is always a challenge. It's always a task. There's a whole lot of divide and conquer that we do with that, which is great. However, we have to make sure that we're making time for each other. And I think
Good
that
point.
sometimes that's actually on the calendar because it has to be.
Yeah.
It does.
Even prayer time sometimes has to be on the
Yes.
calendar when you want to do it together, right?
Yes.
So we actually have a calendar app that we have for the both of us, where we update every single thing that we decide to do during the day. Even if he's getting a haircut and it's in the middle of the day while he's supposed to be at work, he makes sure that I know, so that I know where he is, and just in case I need something or the kids need something. But
And I think that piece there is just communicating and over communicating
Right.
with each other.
Very good.
I think that's for us because
Right.
we have 6 children now,
Yeah.
all doing different things.
Yeah.
So for us, it's to over communicate. And even if you think it's as small as me getting a haircut in the middle of the day, it's still communication on her calendar that she has it, so that at least she knows where I'm at, just in case I need to be someplace else. She understands that, okay, during this time he's here. If he needs to get the kids from school, then he has time to get there, or I need to make arrangements. But it's a village, helping out, and we have her mother that gets to come in and help out with some things as well. But it does get complicated, and it's always nice to have help from your in-laws and grandparents. But for us, it's really important that we still spend that time, because you can get so lost in your children and in their activities
Right.
that you forget about each other. And then that starts causing division within your home. And we're trying to prohibit that from happening.
Yes.
So the communication part, just so that we're clear, is awesome right now, and today it's great. But we definitely learned by error,
Right.
right? So it was that was a big point of contention in our marriage, definitely for the first year and a half. And at that point we only had the 4, right?
Yeah.
So just because I think we did communicate so much, being long distance relationship, and then when we decided to come together, it was like it
Right.
was gone, right? Because you see each other every day, but it's like I still don't know what's going on. Yeah. So I think we definitely learned how to, like he said, even if you think it's an over communication, still do that.
Okay.
Yeah. And it goes back to expectations.
Sure.
When you guys talked about the expectations coming into it, we expected that we were going to get married and everything was going to be just daffodils, flowers every day.
Right.
And it wasn't. I mean, when we came into it, we didn't have your book.
Right.
We didn't have all the go-tos and learned experiences at that time when we first came into it. So we came into it thinking that you got your kids, I got my kids, you parent your kids, I parent my kids, we'll meet up in the middle. 18 years from now, we can be happy. And we really thought that point, because being divorced, both of us being divorced and single parents, all my focus on my boys, all her focus on her kids during that time. So we came into it with all this emotion for our children and wanting them to have, not realizing that biblically, that's not what God has planned for the marriage.
Right.
And a lot of times in our situation, it was our children probably before God. You know, if I want to be honest, it was our children was our ultimate authority there, and that we realized that was our expectations, that wasn't true and the right way to be thinking at the time.
Yeah.
So we had to retrain how we thought about things, because our expectations of how we thought blended was going to be would have ended in our first 6 months had we kept going down that way.
Right.
And we began to have major issues in our marriage because of the expectations we thought that we were going to have coming into it.
Hearing you talk about that, I'm reading your favorite verse, Ephesians 5:21, that says, "Be subject to one of another out of reverence to Christ."
Yes.
That's obviously very personal. That's hit your heart. That one jumps out. Tell us why. It's a great verse, but why is that so special for you guys?
I think it was learned. And it was
Yeah.
because of the way we thought at the time how things should be. We realized once we start trying to live this life biblically that we were doing it the wrong way.
Gotcha.
And so that verse popped out to us because it says for us to submit to God. Okay? It goes on to talk about wives submit to their husband and husbands submit to their wives, but in the beginning it says that we should submit. And once we understood that concept, it was able to change that dynamic in our household.
Wow.
Because that's why that verse is so important to us. Because before then, we didn't truly understand about this whole marriage thing. Because Monica and I have been through divorce, so we can tell you how to break something up.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
But we wanted this to last and stay together. So we went to that verse to help teach us where our submission should lie first.
Right.
And then how we should go on from there. And that's why it's so meaningful for us, because that's what we practice. You know, our thing is, and Monica mantra is, you know, who's going to be the first to the end of the line.
Yeah.
So it's like
It's a race to the back of the
race to
line.
the back of the line.
Yeah.
And when you start thinking about that, she thinks, James, how can I serve you today? My thing is, Monica, how can I serve you today? We're in this battle now to outserve each other, because my thing is, if I can put her needs before my needs, and if she's fighting the same thing, then in some shape, form, or fashion, we're going to work things out, because I want to make sure what I'm doing in my day is uplifting and pleasing to God as well as to my wife, and vice versa. And so that's one of the reasons why that verse means so much to us, because honestly, it saved our marriage.
That's great.
Because being in this thing here, believe me, we have been down that road of saying, I quit.
Right.
You know, but now, 7.5 years into it, we don't have the D word on the table anymore. The divorce, that doesn't come up. Now it's learning how to work through our differences to get through that storm during that time.
That's great. I can't believe this time has flown by. It's already been over 20 minutes. But before, I want you to think of just maybe one last question or statement, whatever you want to. I'll say mine now, give you a chance to think. But you've actually embraced blended together as this is a huge need. In fact, not only have you seen it for yourself, but you've helped us spread the word. And you mentioned a second ago, we didn't know some of these things before we had your book. And we're not here to try to sell the book. I mean, we want people to get the book, but we really want it as a resource, because there's just not that many resources for blended families. How has it maybe helped you, or what have you seen when you spoke at that church for us when we were out of town? And then I'll let Gina give the final parting comments. So, and for me, they're your perspectives. I think it'd be great.
Go ahead.
So when we heard you guys speak for the first time, I was pregnant with our oldest daughter together. And it was just meeting us right where we needed to be. It was giving us truth, right, when we needed truth, whether we wanted to hear it or not.
Right.
And hey, there's a different way of thinking. And if you want to do it biblically, there's a whole lot of secular stuff out there in blended families.
Right.
But to do it, and we've tried that in the beginning, but we really saw the difference in our family and in our lives when we did it biblically. And the whole book just speaks to that. In every situation and every every battle that you might have, every situation you may have in a blended family, if you first do it God's way,
Right.
and ask Him for help, then it's going to be a whole lot easier than trying to do it on your own.
Yeah, and for me, one of the things that when we speak to blended couples, even at Life Point or in premarital classes where we speak at, or at marriage conference when we talk to blended people, one of the slides that we see the most aha moment is when we talk about realignment. You know, and when we talk about realignment, we see a lot of aha moments in the faces out there, because they like, okay, I got to get realigned and understand where everybody's order is. You know, understanding that it's God, it's my spouse, it's the children.
Yes.
And you get those eyes open up, and we say that.
Right.
And then Monica gives her example of what she had to go through. You know, that piece right there, with the many of the couples that we mentor that sit at our dinner table, if they can get the realignment piece down, it will resolve a lot of the issues that a lot of blended families are going through. So that chapter is one of the ones that touched my heart the most. And one of the things that I see the most aha moment is when we're delivering our presentation of the information from your book to others, is understanding how to get back in line with what God wants.
Well, and I commend you guys, because that verse that you quoted, Ephesians 5:21, talks about alignment, about where I am in the pecking order and who am I subject to, and it starts with our Father, then each other.
Right.
Any last minute thoughts or questions that you want to ask just before we wrap up?
I do. First of all, I want to tell our audience we don't have a gremlin in the house under the table, even though it's the fall and that season possibly. But we have blended grand dogs, and we are keeping one of them right now.
Yay.
And never even thought about the possibility that she would not like to be behind a closed door without being with Grandma and Coach. So she's going to be part of our series tonight.
Yeah.
And so the thing that I thought about when I was listening to you talk was the kids, when you were realigning, when you were starting to put each other first, and the kids, you know, having you all to themselves for those years alone, and for your boys having you. How did that go? Tell us how that went and how you worked through that.
Yeah.
So for me, that was the scariest thing that I've had to do. And it really came to a point where you have to choose. You have to choose which way am I going to walk? Am I going to do this thing biblically, or am I going to keep trying to do it my way? My way is not working, right? So let's do it. And we both made the choice to walk this path. And it was scary for me that my children would feel like I love him more, that I, am leaving them and choosing him over them. Of course, those things scared me, but the Lord just spoke to me that this is what you have to do. And it wasn't something that we sat them down and said, James is my priority. It was just my mindset and the way that I thought. It was a lot more of me praying through it. So, strengthening my relationship with God, and then, asking him, what do I need to do to be a better wife that you've called me to be? So things did change in our house, but it was opposite. It was a calm. It was a peace over our home. The children, I think, they felt safety. Mm-hmm. They felt security in our home. So they knew that no matter what happened at their other parents' home, that these two aren't going anywhere. Mm. So these two are always going to stay here, and it's going to be our stability.
So you think after a while, then they see a united front, and they say that gives kids a more peace and stability, like you said.
It does, yeah.
Seeing a united front versus, the not agreeing, and and you taking your kid's side, you taking your kid's sides, and then they've divided and conquered them.
Right.
Yeah.
So you see that the peace does come when you do that.
Oh, it
because
does.
they find security in that.
And we saw it because they knew that no matter what they threw at us, it was going to come back as one voice to them.
Good.
And so we stood our ground together as one, saying that we're not going to be divided,
Good.
and that we're going to come back to you guys with what we believe is truth and love to you, but it's going to come as one voice. And it's important to understand that sometimes that voice as a man, and I want to lead and provide vision, sometimes that voice comes from the wife. Because with blended family and my stepchildren, sometimes hearing the vision or the authority is easier heard when it comes from the wife.
Absolutely.
And that was learned. And so by doing that, I think it enabled the kids to understand that, hey, we ain't going to be able to throw nothing up against these guys, so let's just deal with it. We're here. Let's learn how to live this life together, because we showed a solid front in all things.
That's great. James and Monica Shaw, good friends of Gina and mine. Great church up in Prosper, One Community Church. They're great ambassadors for us, for Blended Together. So thank you guys for sharing your story. We know it's going to be, give a lot of people hope and encouragement. And we just pray that this effort is multiplied tonight. So thanks for being with us.
Thank you guys for having us.
Yes.
Thanks for listening today.
Be sure and follow us on our Facebook page and Instagram at Blended Together Forever.
And look for our upcoming events on our website and our resources, the books that we're working on at blendedtogether.org.